All right. Unless you have literally been living under a rock, you probably know or have at least heard that AI is taking over the world. But is it a net positive or negative for your small business marketing? In this episode, we're exploring ways to use AI to market your business and calling out places where you'll definitely want to avoid it. Welcome to the Big Bad Marketing Podcast. I'm Brooke.
And I'm Janae. We're coaches, marketers, and business owners who help solopreneurs and side hustlers grow real businesses with less than $500 a month for marketing.
In this podcast, you'll get strategy, mindset shifts, and actionable tips to build a bigger, badder business without burnout. Are you ready to get started? Let's
Let's
do
do
this.
this. Okay, so I want to start by asking you a few, like three rapid fire style questions about AI.
Ooh,
Are you ready?
I hope so.
Okay. First question is, what does AI stand for?
Ooh, I know this one. Artificial intelligence.
Hmm. Okay. What about LLM?
Large language models. That's
Okay.
the power behind artificial intelligence tools like the ever popular ChatGPT, Claude, and these other various ones.
Bard.
Bard.
Sure.
Everybody's got one. Dime a dozen.
Sure. Okay. So almost like the algorithm that's programming the thing that's happening on the front end. Is that what you say large language model is?
Yeah, it's where the data lives. It's what spits out the information. So you can think of an LLM as just a ton of data and the front end tool like a chat GPT spits it out in a coherent way based on what it's trained on.
Okay. Okay. So here's the next one. This was the inspiration for all these other acronym questions is what does GPT stand for?
Oh, I don't know that one.
Right? I was like, I use this maybe every day. And I was like, what does it stand for?
Did you look it up?
I did. Do you want to know?
I do.
Okay. It's generative pre trained transformer.
Oh, fancy.
Yeah. I'm like, even if I was trying to guess what it stood for, I would pick something way more logical than that.
Yeah, generally programmed training. I would have come up with something far simpler, but that's why we say chat GPT.
Exactly. Exactly. So there's no quiz at the end of this. We put the quiz up front before we told you anything, but now you know, and you've got some good trivia in your pocket. Okay, a
But
couple other questions are I remember back in agency land days talking about AI rolling out, and this was like deep in being professionals in roles that involved content and the publication and creation and the whole process of content existing for the internet. And there was like a you're going to lose your job, not at agency land per se, but in the general field, there was a big buzz about like, you're going to lose your job. You're in content creation, you're in copywriting, you're in content strategy. Like, how are you going to outlive AI? It's doing your job for you. You better start looking for a new job. So, I guess all of this to say, what do you think about AI taking over and decommissioning the jobs of humans who do similar things?
yeah, I have thoughts on this, and it's funny because so ChatGPT came out in late 2022. And so it's been here in the world with us for over 2.5 years at this point. And things are changing. And I think we would all be wise to accept and acknowledge that, but perhaps not as rapidly as once assumed, because it really was. I remember those days at the end of 2022, it was sort of like, well, you're not going to have a job come 2023 because
Mm-hmm.
this is literally doing your work. Because, yeah, we were working on a team that had writers creating content, and now 2.5 years later, we're in this place where a lot of companies are looking for editors of AI generated content. And I don't know, it's an
Like an
interesting,
offshoot.
yeah, it's an interesting evolution. And I think AI is going to displace certain tasks that can and maybe should be automated, but I think it just opens up more opportunities for people to do other things. And this is, easy to say, but really hard to live through if you are in a role where you have been displaced because of AI tools. And I know the bigger the companies that have to show the profits, they have entire teams of people dedicated to figuring out ways to use AI solutions to wipe out jobs, and they're being rewarded for that. So it's a tough thing when you really think about the implications on real people.
Oh my gosh, yes. And if you're listening to this, it's my sense that you run a business, are working on running a business, or starting up a business, and good, because the more quickly and efficiently you can get yourself out of a position of being let go because AI is taking over, and you're building wealth and stability and doing something really good for the world yourself, like that's the move. That's at least how we wound up here where we are, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, in general, what is your sentiment on AI? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Are you just making it
Oh,
work?
okay. If this is the love hate game where you can only choose one and you just have to choose, love. Like I use it so much. It's helped make a lot of my workflow smoother when I've adopted it in useful ways and added it to a workflow and a system. And it's also, this is like weird to say, but it's like my friend. I'm just like, what's up? Here's what we're going to work on right now. And I want it to be like this. And can you help me with this? And like, I'm just like chitty chatty with Chat GPT, for example, in that way. And then while I am sitting alone in my living room, I'm like, oh, I'm not alone.
Ugh.
And you?
I think I fall on the hate side of the spectrum.
Oh,
I have struggled with, and maybe it's just kind of the far-reaching implications of it, but I hate how it is changing people to maybe just have a little less critical thinking.
oh,
And we sort of use it as a crutch, and I don't like that. I also think it feels deeply impersonal. And maybe it's
my
because
friend?
we're your friend is doing this.
My friend, the
And
robot?
maybe it's because we're so close to it and we see it a lot and we do use it a lot. But I feel like I can pick up when something was written with AI and it just feels really inauthentic to me. And that's a big turnoff. So when I receive communications from companies or people that I have a hunch was used with AI, it doesn't read the same to me. It's I don't know. I miss that personal touch. And I was listening to a
The
podcast the other
human
day, and
touch.
it talked about how there was a tool that claims to help you write a book using AI in 60 seconds. And books are these amazing pieces of information that people spend years pouring their heart and soul into. And it feels to me just so cheap to be like, oh yeah, you can write it, just use AI, it'll only take you 60 seconds. Like that is a labor of
Mm.
love. And I don't think we can replace art in that way with these computers. I don't know. I have a lot of feelings about it, truly.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that. No, and I mean it is such a slippery slope, but I guess what comes up when you say that is like humans created large language models and these AI tools. And so as those things kind of step up, like it's such a rabbit hole here because my brain's going in a million directions, but like as those things continue to evolve and roll out, humans will also be pushed to figure out how to express their creativity in an authentic human way. And I love books too, so I don't want books to disappear anytime soon or be taken over as like solely robot produced. But my sense is like it is also participating in pushing the human race to a new level of like, okay, how can I, this sounds silly, differentiate myself from the robots and put out the things in a way that it takes on a whole new form. Like it's just that whole ramp up that's happening of exponential growth in like so many directions because of tools like this. It's also bringing up the human people too. And it's also leaving a lot of them behind. Like you're pointing out, like we don't know how to think anymore. Someone once said that to me about the AI is like, if you keep using that, you can't, like, how are you even going to use your own brain?
Yes. And as you're saying that, it's making me think of a book that I finished recently that I want to recommend called Stolen Focus by Johan Hari. And in that, he talks about and you may have noticed this, but it feels like things are speeding up, and they're getting
Yes.
faster with every year. And a piece of that is because the amount of information we are being exposed to is growing at such an exponential rate. So it just feels like more is happening because we're seeing more of it. And I don't know. I think how much more can we speed up and still retain an effective quality of life? That's sort of where my head goes. And I think, I actively resist a lot of the temptations of today. I actively resist social media and
Come
other
on in. The
things.
water's fine.
I just won't do it.
Half
But
my brain has turned into a robot.
yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I have
Yeah.
feelings. It's neither here nor there because I think we're at this place where the world is forging ahead with AI. So, how can we help small business owners, regardless of how I feel
Oh,
about
yes.
this? How can we help people use it in intelligent ways to make marketing their businesses easier?
Thank you so much for bringing us back to what we were talking about.
We were way
Yeah,
off in the field.
because I think that's the point, is whether you love it or hate it, like it is an effective tool for certain things, much like anything else. And I guess a last point I wanted to make was like, everyone was like, you're going to lose your job. And I'm like, okay, QuickBooks rolled out, then we still have accountants. They didn't lose their jobs. Like it's a tool is all I'm trying to get at. It's a tool to help aid humans to do things. Like the humans have to be the ones to use the tool. So, I mean, then we can get really meta and it goes into automation and stuff, but that's neither here nor there either. The point is, it's a useful tool and it can help for small business owners build in efficiency and cut down on time, energy, or let's say mental energy, not to dispute the critical thinking point, but like in a way where you're most efficiently putting your time in front of the screen into action to generate business for your income, to generate business for your business, to generate income for your business, to generate.
Clearly, we're not scripted by AI,
I
or we
am a
wouldn't
robot.
be.
Yeah, that's funny too, because usually we're a one take show because we pride ourselves on how well we just record straight through. And this episode, as a matter of fact, we just could not get it together and we were flubbing around. So
Hey, but
definitely not AI.
in our defense, we botched the intro, so we restarted at the intro. It wasn't actually into the episode, so
Yeah, which also I was just like, what if we
early
didn't hit
stage
the
failure.
record button when we do one of these? And that was like equivalent because this is this episode. Anyways, let's jump into first what not to use AI for, and ways that are just like the least useful or maybe like just cringy ways to put AI to use that just like are not beneficial. And I'm going to start this list with, don't use AI to write a book or
Yes, or
Brooke
you
will
will
get mad.
personally offend me.
Yeah.
Um,
What else?
yes. So we're big on strategic planning, and AI, for all the things that it can do well, I do not find it to be an effective strategic decision maker. You know your business better than anyone else. You know your plan and what you want for your business in the years ahead. So while you can use AI for ideas and maybe say, give me a list of all the different ways I could market my business. You're the mastermind. You're the driver behind the decisions. You are the one who has to take charge and make those decisions. So I would say definitively do not use AI for strategic direction and decision making for your business. What else?
Okay. Don't use AI for automated and unmonitored communication with your clients. I think there are tools right now that help, like, if I don't know if you've written an email in the last 2 years, Brooke.
No, I haven't actually.
But it like prompts me when I go in to write an email in my Gmail account. Um, like with a canned response that AI has created for me to respond to whatever the email is. And I haven't even like dabbled with it, but because it just freaks me out that it's read my email and it has generated a possible response. Like, yeah, that sounds great. I'll see you then. Like, how does ChatGPT know if I can go? Or how does that AI tool know whether or not I can go? Anyways, be be the leader and the human behind the communication in your emails. Don't just set it up and forget it with an automation tool, because you just it's not yet in a space that it's trustworthy to just be like, go ahead, respond to all my emails, it'll be fine.
Yeah,
Don't do
agree
it.
with that. All right, another place to avoid AI, meaningful internal communications. So, if you are talking about something sensitive or meaningful, AKA, you're announcing a round of layoffs, you are expressing gratitude for someone who did a really kind thing for you, don't use AI for that. Speak from your heart. People are going to appreciate it, even if you're not a great writer, even if you are prone to spelling errors and grammatical incorrectness. That's okay because it is from you. And people are, again,
People are what?
maybe I'm just closer to it than most people, but I do feel like the average person can tell when something feels like it was generated from an AI tool and not coming from you as a person. So nothing is going to make your employees feel like doo-doo more than receiving a canned AI response on like a very hard day or a very exciting day. Like be in it with them, feel the feels, and let that come through in your communication.
Yeah, I really like that. Because I think part of the message here, and we'll get to like what to use it for, is not don't use it and don't let it be a tool to help you draft emails, for example. But there are moments where you should totally avoid using it at all. And then there are moments where it would be okay to get the baseline and the idea and then run with it yourself as the human. And again, I'm reminded of agency land of getting these emails. They weren't sensitive emails, they were like, here's an update on this department, but they were like so hardcore dropped into AI. And I always left, first of all, I just couldn't even read them because they just didn't say anything. But I always left feeling like, did that say anything? Did they give me an actual update? Or was it just a bunch of words put together in this large language model pattern to make it seem like they've said something and nothing was said?
Yes, I love that. So, a good sort of litmus test for anything that you're using AI for is, does it sound like you? Does it sound like something you would say? Read it out loud. And if you say, that feels really awkward coming out of my mouth, take it out. Don't include it. So, yeah, you can, and we'll get into, let's just go ahead and hop into areas that maybe it is, in fact, a good idea to use AI.
Okay, I think one of the most important places that I'm using it on a regular basis is for functional and practical content and not for anything that's going to be forward or facing clients. So I like using it when I'm building out frameworks or structures. It helps me like get all of my ideas out of my head and be like, now turn this into something that is a cohesive, linear strategy or format based on all of the elements I've just given you. And then ChatGPT or Bard will spit out this organizational framework that I can think through and better place my now human ideas into. And then there's like internal admin processes. So things that other humans aren't ever going to see except us, Brooke, like you and I, like we can use this when we send out emails to clients and get tracking information about who's opened it, which is a million people open our emails, just if you're curious. Um, and then I also love using it. Probably my favorite way to use it is to be like, give me ideas and inspiration. Give me topics for social media posts that are relevant to my brand and these X ways. Give me some blog topics that are relevant. Give me keywords that might make sense for this topic that we just decided on, or methods for how I can create this thing. So those are all like, it's going to be a list or it's going to be giant format of lots of stuff. And then I can go through and pull out what seems like it's directionally correct and accurate for me or what I'm going for, and then improve it with my human touch.
Ah, the human
Mm-hmm.
touch. Very good. I also like it as a starting point for content. I think that if you are doing something like social captions, like SEO descriptions and titles for a blog post, like drafting emails, like drafting blog posts, I think that that can be a very helpful tool and it can get you started. But again, like litmus test of does it sound like you? Does it sound like something you would say? And are you saying anything? Because the danger always of using AI tools is that you're getting a regurgitation of things that already exist. So be sure to go in and layer your personal experience. So, for example, like if you are writing an email to promote something,
Janae's Puppy Wash Emporium.
yes, Janae's Dog Washing Emporium, obviously, you can go into a tool like ChatGPT and say, hey, I'd like to write an email to promote this 4th of July sale we're having where you can get, um, what, 4% off all of your dog services.
One for each
And
paw.
one for each paw. Yeah, I love that. 16% total for most dogs. Um,
Except for Lucky.
but but then go in and maybe add a testimonial, add a picture of the dog of the month, like make it fun, zhuzh it up and add your own flair to it. But yes, if you're like, I don't actually have time to write this email from scratch right now because I'm not even sure where to start, let AI help you start and then make it your own.
Yeah, I love that. Don't copy and paste the outputs from AI and be like, this is ready to go. Like you're
Yes.
the human here. So do the human thing. Sometimes that can be hard. I think, Brooke, you made such a good point before of like, it's stifling our critical thinking skills as humans, where we used to be able to be like, okay, this is what I want my email to be about. And then you start writing and you kind of build it and it's a process. But as things speed up, as time passes more quickly and there's more information to be absorbed, we have less time, it feels like for me, to sit down and focus on like drafting a nice email that's formally written and it hits on all the pain points I want to talk about. And so we start relying more and more on these tools, but it can be very overwhelming. And if you're feeling overwhelmed by the AI hype, like I can totally relate, and I think we both get it because one minute it's supposed to save your business, and then the next minute it's writing these really cringy captions and it's giving you these canned responses that don't say anything at all. And I think just using AI the wrong way can actually be damaging to your company and your brand if you're sending that stuff off and you're not prepared to use it all correctly. And this is exactly the kind of stuff we break down in our free monthly newsletter. It's real strategies, it's tools that are actually helpful for your business and how to use those tools effectively to drum up business for your business using marketing, especially low cost marketing tools. So you can sign up at bigbadmarketing.com/newsletter, and we will send you our full list of all kinds of awesome marketing things every month, and it's totally free. So go ahead and sign up, and no more robots needed.
AI totally optional.
Yeah.
Very good. All right. So sign up for the newsletter. And then when you're done with that, another way that you can use AI in your marketing is as a tool to refine. We actually love this because sometimes
Love, hate.
AI, we like this. I don't want to say
It's a
love
hard
when it
game.
comes to AI. I'm not there yet. The relationship is too new. I don't know if I can
You
trust
haven't
him.
uploaded the right software into your brain
Yeah, right, exactly.
for the update.
Yeah. So when we say as a tool to refine, we are talking about things like adapting for a particular brand voice, editing for a particular reading level. So one of the things that's very crucial in your marketing is using words that can be understood by the vast majority of the population. So say you are a doctor or a lawyer and you are used to talking at a really high level. You use lots of what do they call them? $1 words that are
Oh,
the
I haven't
really
heard that before.
complicated ones.
Okay.
Um,
I
and
heard them called big words, which I guess shows that I'm not a doctor.
not doctors, nor do we pretend to play them on TV. Um, but taking your thoughts and ideas. So say you come up with this really great idea for a marketing campaign and you're like, I need to get this to less than an eighth grade level so that people can actually understand me and come into my clinic because if I talk in these big words, nobody's literally going to know what I do. Um, AI can help you do that. AI is also exceptionally good at when you give it a voice, it can then filter your content through that voice. So if there is a particular, like if you've established a brand, so for example, us here at Big Bad Marketing, we can go into AI and say, hey, using the information that you can see on bigbadmarketing.com, filter this into our brand voice and give us an output that sounds like the things that we would say. And then granted, 99% of the things on bigbadmarketing.com are things that we have written in our voice very intentionally.
Sure. So it's taking in the sort of the main points of what you want to say and then just putting it into the way you would say it or the way that that brand voice wants to say it. So a cool exercise, I guess we should try this, is being like, okay, pick a random sentence like, this dog is beautiful. And then being like, say this as if you were Big Bad Marketing. And then say this as if you were, an insert like famous people's names and funny brands and different things. And then see how that same sentence comes out. And you'll get to see the way that the AI can reinterpret and put it into a different voice.
Yeah, I like that. It is reinterpretation.
GPT. Okay, so how else could it be used to refine content?
Yeah, so another way is to identify the gaps to say, hey, here's all what I'm thinking to include in this blog post about a topic. Am I missing anything? And it will come back to you and say, hey, have you considered XYZ? Or I see you covered this thing, but you didn't cover this one. And so that can be a really helpful test of just, have I covered the topic fully?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that what I like about that is you it just reminds me that you can use AI at different steps in your process to help you get the idea for the blog topic, to help you get a sense of like what are the main points someone might be interested in learning about when they read this blog. And then you can go in and write it, and then you can still revisit and put it back in and say, "Hey, here's what I have. What else do I need?" And there's like a back and forth process that can occur here, especially when you structure that process well, but that can lend itself well to functionality in an iterative process.
Yeah.
Right, like the
But
widgets and the robots.
But important to note, garbage in, garbage out, right? So you have to make
Oh,
sure that you are feeding it the best information. Otherwise, you are just going to get out some not so great stuff. So, Janae, how can we effectively prompt AI tools to get the types of outputs that we want?
yeah, I love this because this has become the more you use the tool, the better at prompting it you become. But there's also a ton of content online. I hope not created by bots, but that helps you get better at this. And we'll link some of our favorite directions on how to prompt well in the show notes. But we'll also take you on a quick overview here of actually what a YouTuber, Jeff Sue, calls the top 6 things to include, the most important components of a great prompt. And they certainly passed my own sense of like, yeah, these are the right things to include. So we're going to also say it's Jeff Sue's Big Bad Marketing, Janae and Brooks take on what to include in the prompt, which that sentence was not produced by AI. I made that sentence. Okay, so the first component, and this is like the most essential one, and it's going to sound basic, is to include the task or the action verb. So you're going to tell AI what you want. What do you want it to do? What do you want the output to be? What is your end goal? And as soon as you include a task, so this is like the first part of a building block of a really good prompt. As soon as you include the task, the AI tool is going to give you something that at least in some form resembles what you have asked for. So if it's vague and it's not clear, and we'll get into more ways to keep building and refining, but you're not going to get anything. But if you include a task and it's pretty straightforward of what you want, you're going to get something that is a result that resembles an answer. So, for example, this is going to be generate a list of actionable marketing tasks for our client, right? That list could look like wildly different depending on what else you add and if you don't add anything else. But even just generate a list that's helping give a clear suggestion of the task that you're working on and what you want the output to be.
Love that.
All right, what's next?
All right. So next is going to be context. So giving it a little bit of background or what success looks like or environment. So you can give as much context as you possibly want. It's completely endless and it's not going to necessarily give you a result, but it's going to lead to a better outcome for your eventual result. So, for example, you could say, I'm working with a small business owner who wants to get better at their marketing and get more customers, but they don't know how. They have a limited budget, they're time constrained, they only have 2 to 5 hours a week, and success looks like actionable steps that they can take, even though they have no marketing experience. So, all of that is more added context to prompt the AI to give us a more tailored outcome for those particular people.
Yeah, so you went from give me a list to like this is how I want the list to be constructed and the place I want it to come from.
Yep. What's next?
Yeah, and you can further that process by giving examples. So a format or a structure for the AI to sort of replicate, even in a generalized way. So you pull an existing blog from your site and then you give it your new blog and you say, make my new blog fit into the same kind of format as this example. Or you give it a caption from a social media feed and you're like, I love this caption. Can you say our brand things in our brand voice, but like capture this style using this example?
Yeah. So, similarly, you can give it a persona. You can say, and give this to me as if I were, or write this in the style of Jeff Bezos, write this in the style of Big Bad Marketing, or from a particular perspective, say, assume that I am a lawyer who has been working in law for 30 years and write this like you would if you were me. Something like that, where it's a specific persona that it's operating from.
Mm-hmm. And then another really important piece of this puzzle is the format. So if you put in a task, you're going to get a response. If you just put in context, you didn't give the AI a task, you're not really going to get any kind of output. It's going to be some weird, like, okay, that's great news. Thanks for telling me all this information, depending on how cheeky your AI personality robot has become. But format is another piece for me of that task space where you're saying, the exact kind of format that you want it to give you the output in. So instead of now, I just want a list, you're like, I want a 10-point list. I want each bullet point to have a title sentence, and then I want it to have 3 sentences following that. Or I want a blog article that's 5 paragraphs, it's 1,500 words, and it has 3 subtitles. These are the subtitles. You're just being really specific about the way that the format that you want the output to come in. So it's more closely aligned with what you desire.
All right. And then the last piece of this is you can give it information about tone. So you can say, I want the output to be professional. I want the output to be funny. If you don't know the word, then you can give it more of a description of like, I want to show my expertise while also seeming relatable. Just tell it the vibe, and it's going to use that when it creates your output.
Yeah. So those are the 6 elements of a very useful AI prompt: a task, the context, examples, a persona, the format, and the tone. And then now is your chance, as you're working with the tool, to give it feedback. So say, hey, I didn't like this part. Hey, I want it to be more like this. Can you come at it with this kind of voice instead? And this process, you can go back and forth with the tool that's part of this. It's like you start with a really solid prompt, you need less feedback and refining. But it is also just helpful because you can get closer and closer to what you actually want. And one of my, let's say, love hates about it is that it also helps me see where my prompts fall short. Like the more feedback I need to give it, the more I'm like, oh, I just should have been more specific and clear in my prompt, which is like, it's cool for AI use, but it's also cool in my life to be like, oh, I can get more aligned outcomes with what I want when dealing with other human beings, which happens like every day, by being more clear, by being more specific, by giving more information and context in the right ways.
Yeah. And I find that too with the giving it feedback. It's okay, if I have to give it feedback, then I didn't include something in the first place. So how can I get more clear and what information can I provide up front that's going to make this a one transaction situation? I don't want to spend more time with this guy than I need to. So how do I get in and out as quickly as possible? That's always my goal. And in the companion blog post for this episode, we will include some of our favorite prompts that we use to get AI to help us with certain things, and you can use them or create your own from there.
Love it. Hey, Brooke, I'm so glad that you're a real human and you're not a robot.
I know. And for those of you who don't know, we actually met for the first time in the past couple months. And the leading joke up to us meeting in real life was Janae telling me constantly that she was just an AI robot and not a real person.
Oh, and you too will find out one day when we meet in person, listener. But in the meantime, follow us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening to this. We're so glad that you're here and you don't want to miss an episode of this really good stuff. So follow us and thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. Go use AI wisely, but not for everything.